Hi there, I'm Peachy, and this is a much different video than my usual content, but I think it's the right time to say this. But before we start, do not harass anyone that's mentioned in this video. That is not going to help at all. So today I'm going to expose a side of my now, I guess, ex-friend on Instagram, Sotta Tsukima, I think that's how you pronounce her user, or just Sotta for short, and how I'll be addressing her from now on. So let's talk some backstory. I don't exactly know when we first met, but we met in one of my other friends' group chats. And I honestly figured out soon enough that Sotta had bad mental health. I am not blaming her for her mentality, since at the time I also had bad mental health and a bad view of myself. And I also want to say that bad mental health does not excuse you from bad actions. Yeah, sure, it can be a reason, but it's not an excuse. So don't go saying that. But going back to the mental health thing, it was more apparent for her, but still I decided to be friends with her because I thought I could try to help her, which I now know is toxic. Some days she'd be okay, sending many messages, but others she was moping and sad about something. Okay, completely forgot to state this, but during those messages, if we just read them, like one of my friends did, and not respond to either one, she would get mad at us. There was a really long time where she got upset at my friend Pink, or Pink You got upset at her because she read a message instead of responding to it. I also had to make sure to respond to those messages as well, so she wouldn't get mad at me. So going back to the video, I don't know what it would be, and it would just come out of nowhere most times. And whenever I tried to comfort her to the best way I could, I got so worried when she talked about offing herself. Whenever I would go to bed after trying to comfort her, I would be so stressed that when I wake up, I would go and check and hope that she was still alive. I didn't say this then when I was comforting her, but I guess it's best to say it now. Talking to her and trying to comfort her reminded me of my father, and that's not a good thing. And this was my friendship with her for an entire year. That's what I would do. Talk to her when I can, talk about random things or whatever, and try to comfort her when she's upset to make her feel happy. I was honestly, looking back, I was pretty naive and to believing that this was a good friendship, and I now know that it wasn't good to keep doing over and over. And I don't exactly know when she spoke of this, and I don't even remember asking, but I ended up being sent not safe for work content, or Rule 34 of Jander, which is Jake and Xander, their ship from my main fandom, the Music Freaks, that she made. That was my first introduction. Well, not really first introduction, but that was kind of an exposing of really different side of her, because as far as I can remember, I didn't ask to see that, and honestly, I didn't speak about it with my other friends in my group chat, because I was embarrassed and I felt bad for being shown it. And it's because I didn't really say anything to tell her I was uncomfortable with it, and I guess that only made her think it was okay, which it isn't. And she has also sent gore, if you can really call it that. It was just pretty bloody, but still it was disturbing to see it. It was in a public group chat as well, which was full of minors, may I add. So that's really shocking. And a bunch of her stories had a lot of disturbing elements, which is honestly fine by me. I mean, not every story is like happy-go-lucky like the original Music Freaks, but it got to a point where it was just too much. I remember a story or two stories, I think, I don't know if they were connected, with both Xander and Henry. Henry is another character from the Music Freaks, in toxic relationships. I'm not exactly sure about Henry's, but I know Xander's story, which was very abusive. And for Henry, when I talked about the gore, it was because of a person, I guess, her OC that she made him get with, cut off his legs. Yeah. And she did not put any warnings for this. I'm gonna say this now. No warnings were shown, which to me you have to use, even if it is your friends. But it was also filled with minors. So, does she even care about that? No, she doesn't, in fact. And I guess that's why she doesn't see what she did as wrong. And this video is also going to show some other people who have had experiences with her. So we are going to start with them. This first experience is short. It's not exactly bad as what people might think, but it's pretty strange. So the person, who is named Daisy or Little Cat on Instagram, posted something about Cece, the ship between Sean and Daisy, again from the Music Freaks. I don't exactly know much about the post or where it's from, but I think it was about an Oreo cookie relating to Sean and milk relating to Daisy. And Sotta had private messaged her a joke, if you can really call it that, which was about her dipping Sean into Daisy. From that message, it might be a bit hard, but it was a pretty weird, not safe for work joke, which I guess isn't that bad. But the people she's talking about are teenagers. It makes it icky, don't you think? This next one is also kind of short because I don't exactly have much information about it, same as the Daisy one. But the second person, who is Cece, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, had posted a very cute Christmas Henry art, which I'm sure some of you have actually seen. And I don't know what prompted her to text this, but Sotta had messaged her to draw Henry pregnant. Of course, she meant it as a joke, but clearly it was made Cece uncomfortable. Of course, in Sotta's defense, a bunch of people can ask that, which doesn't make it good, but it's still a pretty strange question, because why would you have that thought pass through your mind at all? Because, girl, boundaries. And now we're going into situations which involve inappropriate behavior. So if you don't want to watch any further, please don't. Remember how I brought up boundaries? Well, it's because of Kat, another victim in this situation, was messaged about Sotta. Well, I'm gonna try to say this as cleanly as I can. She, referring to Sotta, used water pressure from a shower head to make her nether regions feel good. That is the best way I can put this. She had also told the same girl, Kat, that she didn't need therapy, but a partner. She had also assumed that Kat was interested in her instead of a friend worrying about her, which, I mean, don't you know the difference? Well, clearly not. And, of course, she had also told this girl that she thought Haley, Millie, and Daisy were hot, and that because of her AU, we'll get back to this, it was okay for her to sexualize them. And had also called Kat baby girl. So, I also mentioned earlier that I wasn't the first person she said not safe for work content to, and this will be the second person who will introduce as Ewen. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but hers was Drander. Again, Ewen, as far as I know, is a minor. And obviously, you can see why this is wrong. And this is different, but this is really shocking for me to find out. But she had also sent her not safe for work content of Luke and her OC, which was his brother. Who in the right mind would send that? Why would that even cross your mind to make that content? And what made you think it was okay to send both that Drander thing and the Luke and his brother thing? Just because a friend might like a ship between two characters doesn't mean you can just send them Rule 34 of it. That's just basic human thought. Oh my god. To me at least, it's just weird and strange. Once again, we have a lack of understanding boundaries. And our almost final person in this situation is named Beverly, or we'll call her Beverly, who I'm assuming is another recent person in this situation. And I don't know much about her friendship with Sotta, but I'll do with what I can with the evidence and what she has claimed. So Sotta and her had started a little friendship, if you can call it that. I think it started after one of Beverly's posts, maybe, I'm not sure. And quickly it started to go downhill when Sotta asked to call every day, if I'm correct, which ended up with Beverly blocking her, and this actually caused Sotta to cry about it in one of a group chat that I was in, which I unfortunately can't get the screenshots of. And I would actually quickly learn that that wasn't the full reason why Beverly blocked her. Basically, Sotta was trying to get her to start a role play with her, a sexual one, to be specific. There was no censors, no warning, or even just asking, just straight up lines from the role play. I'm not sure if she tried to do it many times, but I'm going to assume. I'm not sure if Beverly was sent anything else other than that, like any images or stuff than what I was sent. There seems to be a pattern with her recently, especially with friends, people who are like trying to get friends with her, with clearly not understanding boundaries. And when confronted, her reasoning was that she aged up the Music Freaks characters, thus she can make them do those things, like in the gender, and of course, sexualizing the girls, which is a bad reason. And because in one of my own Music Freak AUs, I aged up characters about a year and a half, so they'd be around 18 to 19 if they were juniors or seniors, but I didn't use that to sexualize them. I only did it because I wanted a passage of time. You can age up characters if it suits the story. It's not bad to do that. But she used it to make Rule 34 of the characters, which to me is morally wrong. For the brother thing, however, it was because she was bored. What? What kind of reasoning is that? Sure, you can make that kind of stuff, or not safe for work content, when you're bored. I'm not saying you can't do that, but don't share it. Especially since most of your friends could be minors. And to me, pro shipping or dark shipping isn't a good coping mechanism. And the same thing goes with gore. If you're going to share it, don't forget warnings. And finally, now we're going to talk about another recent thing, and one that was actually there for, and I kind of know more about this situation. So we're going to introduce our final person, who we'll call Isaiah. And recently, as I'm writing this on July 10th, he is a now ex-boyfriend of Sotta. So, according to him, he was sent to not safe for work content and was made to voice those scenarios, including the gender one, which included moaning and whatever the hell was in it. The thing about him is that he mainly does voice impressions of the Music Free characters, mainly the boys and other characters of fandom season, and he does like all kinds of stories. He's even done some of mine. However, most, if not all, we've done were safe. They were friendly, I guess, if not just having a few adult jokes. And this honestly started way before they started dating. If I'm correct, she would like always tag him whenever she wanted him to voice something, even if he was like sleeping or not even online. She had apparently made a strip game with his OC Icarus, which is basically a post where you can take a character's clothes off, or yeah, basically that. And Isaiah basically had to watch that happen. Isaiah and his OC Icarus are 19, but he still didn't consent to that happening, which is important even if you are in a relationship. She also made him take calls of her. They were around 2 hours, which for Isaiah was pretty stressful, and they were daily too. It was because his parents didn't know the relationship existed, and so whenever he had to call her, he would have to stay in his room, and I guess that would create a pattern. So if he kept doing that, his parents would get suspicious, and thus he'd probably get caught. I even tried to tell her this along with a few other people, but it still didn't get through her head. In fact, she actually got mad at me because I got in their business, and I get it, she get mad. It's okay for her to get mad if it was literally in any other context, but she literally posted him and her issues in a public group chat. The getting in their business was me telling her that they should have these private conversations, especially when she was talking about ending the relationship. Honestly, I don't like getting in between relationships, especially not romantic relationships, and especially not between hers. Once they broke up, Sotta actually started her woe is me attitude again, which started this whole thing. It's why everyone in the story started to share what happened with her. After she got removed from most of the group chats, she still had access to one, and in that group chat, she kind of blew up. She blamed us, and specifically Isaiah, calling him a man-child, and that if he didn't want to date her, he should have said no, and that he was only uncomfortable around her. I don't know what she was talking about that. I can't say everything she said because it's a lot and it's too draining to even read it and see it. And a only funny thing about this was when she told us to have a nice life and ended it with calling us all freaks. Like she was Drew. She still wasn't getting why she was wrong and still getting mad at the victims. I'm not really sure if this would count as any type of sexual harassment that she's done, but based on, with Kat, Beverly, and Isaiah's encounters with her without their consent, I would say probably. But, I might be overstepping, but I'm going to say
probably was sexual harassment. I also wouldn't go as far as calling her that, but despite what she's done, I wouldn't be surprised because of what she sent me and minors. Yeah, and I don't know if this is important, but Sotta has stated that she was hypersexual, which I guess she tried to use as an excuse, which is stupid because I am hypersexual and so are many other people, and they don't do what she's done. And as recently as I'm recording this, she has moved to Discord and I don't know her user. She has basically abandoned her Instagram accounts with little dramatic titles. So before we end this, I have to say something about Sotta. You are in your 20s. You need help, professional help. I'm sorry I couldn't help you, but please, you need to help yourself. I can't keep trying to defend you. I'm hoping you learn from this. You need to understand that this isn't okay. You can't send this stuff to minors, and you cannot make someone do sexual role plays with you when they have repeatedly stated that they don't want to do it, even if they are in a relationship with you. Don't say you can't. Don't say you just need a partner. You're looking for someone who can help with your desires, not a partnership, not a relationship. That is how you get into toxic relationships, and you might come out worse than you were before. I am also worried about where your actions will lead you. I'm worried that in the future you'll have more videos made on you with other serious allegations such as this one. If you ever decide to change, though, I am not sure we can ever be friends again. But only time can tell, as I can trust you, as can't the others. But if you do ever come back, I hope it's when you're better. That's all I know for now, and if I miss anything, please DM me on Instagram. It'll be on the screen right now. And hopefully this will be the end of this saga. Thank you if you made it to the end for listening, and stay safe.
Sorry, recording PG here, but I forgot to mention this earlier because I didn't think it was good to mention it, but apparently someone in a group chat where we compiled all this evidence had a family member who, or I think it was family member or someone with like an agent doing like cybersecurity, and they apparently had tracked down Sotta and found her Discord, and basically they made her vow to never do this again. I can't find myself to believe that, but hopefully she'll take this as a sign to not do this again. But yeah, that's a update thing that I got. So yeah, but that's it. Thank you. Bye.